up on the October 1st edition of Carolina Week.
Chancellor James Measer says Carolina is making progress towards its goal of becoming the nation's leading public university.
A new initiative for low-income students will allow them to graduate from Carolina debt-free.
Schools and businesses observe Christian holidays like Christmas, but how does the university handle Jewish observances?
All that and more.
Carolina Week starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Carolina Week. I'm Andrea McAfee.
And I'm Courtney Robinson. Our top story tonight. Students, faculty, and staff came together Wednesday afternoon for Chancellor James Measer's State of the University address. Measer talked about budget shortfalls during the past several years and his plans to overcome them. He addressed employee wage issues and the university's continued ability to attract top-notch educators despite the budget woes. All of his points fell under what he calls the university's main challenge.
One of the most pressing challenges facing Carolina is this. Can we remain true today to 2 centuries of commitment to public higher education and, at the same time, aspire to be the nation's leading public university?
Chancellor Measer added that part of becoming #1 is attracting the best and brightest students. As part of that, he said Carolina strongly supports the plan to raise the cap on out-of-state students from the current 18%.
Prior to his State of the Union address, Chancellor Measer announced a major new initiative to help students from low-income families pay for a college education. Carolina Week reporter Amanda Eiler says one local high school junior might now have an opportunity she didn't have before.
I want to be a chemist. I want to major in chemistry.
It seems like a typical dream, but high school junior Whitney Wise isn't a typical student.
Life has been complicated, hard.
Whitney and her mother Judy live in the Durham Rescue Mission. Judy is unemployed, and the game of life has dealt her more than her share of bad hands.
We're way below poverty. We have no income. We have no monies.
But whether Whitney would go to college was never a question. A dedicated student, she hopes for an academic scholarship.
I push myself for those grades so that I can go to college.
A new initiative introduced by Chancellor Measer might make Whitney's road to college a little easier.
College ought to be affordable, ought to be possible for everyone who can make the grade.
Here's how it works. A student whose family income falls within 150% of the federal poverty level qualifies. In 2001, for a family of 4, that mark was $17,650. 150% of that is $26,475. The student has to work 10 to 12 hours a week in a work-study job for the 4 years he or she is at Carolina. That pays for the student's education.
Chancellor Measer's new plan won't only help incoming freshmen, it'll also pave the way for generations to come.
For Judy, it might be just the break her family's looking for.
If this program comes into effect, that's a way for them to say, look, I can go to college. I can be somebody. I don't have to be homeless in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years.
In Durham, I'm Amanda Eiler, Carolina Week.
The program is called Carolina Covenant. To fund it, the university will reallocate existing funds in the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid and seek private gifts.
More than 4,500 National Guard troops are on their way to Iraq. This is the largest mobilization of National Guard since World War II. Assistant Leadership Professor Craig Marks says fewer than 10 Carolina students will be deployed. These students could be gone for up to 18 months. Before they leave, they'll go through intense training.
So they need about 120 days to train them up. They'll go down to the Joint Readiness Training Center at some point, probably in January, which is in Louisiana, and they will practice peacekeeping operations, demonstrations, riots, those things that aren't normally encountered by combat soldiers.
Before being called to serve in Iraq, many members of the National Guard worked on Hurricane Isabel cleanup. Some troops will remain in the U.S. to continue cleanup efforts.
Thanks to the Patriot Act, if you check out books from UNC libraries or use ITS computers, the federal government has every right to know. In the fight against terrorism, it lets the FBI obtain users' library records and information about computer use. UNC libraries are as prone to the searches as other libraries, but Carolina Law Library's Associate Director Ann Kleinfelter says UNC is working hard to protect its patrons.
Libraries are getting rid of information as soon as we can. We are not retaining records. We are not collecting sign-up sheets at internet terminals. We are trying to dispose of information so that it won't be there if there's a request made.
Congress passed the Patriot Act 6 months after the September 11th attacks. Library officials have told staffers they don't have to turn over any information unless there's a warrant.
The university cancels classes for several Christian holidays. Students of other religions think their holidays should be recognized as well. Lauren Cox has that story.
Only 4% of students at UNC are Jewish. Senior Jeff Goodstein believes it's important to have places like the Hillel where he can easily meet others who share his belief.
When I first came here, actually the first guys I met at Hillel were Jewish, and then they introduced me to API, and because I'm in API and the Jewish fraternity here on campus, it's much easier to meet Jewish students.
The Hillel strives to enrich Jewish life through weekly meals, services, and by offering special gifts and free birthright trips to Israel. The Hillel recently celebrated Tashlich, a Jewish custom of tossing pieces of bread into the water to symbolize the casting away of sins.
During weekly Sabbath services, it's Jewish tradition to wear a tallis and a yarmulke, but it's only on special occasions that you blow the shofar, which is a ram's horn and signifies the opening of consciousness.
This week, High Holy Week, is a special time for those of Jewish faith, but when professors plan out their year, they don't always know the dates of less familiar holidays. Student Body President Matt Tepper put together a memo to help faculty members become more aware of religious holidays. For input, Tepper looked to Or Mars, the Hillel's executive director.
But it's not true only for the Jewish students. I mean, there's all sorts of holidays out there and all sorts of people who celebrate all sorts of holidays that don't really flow with the school calendar all the time.
Scheduling is always difficult, so students and faculty are finding ways to recognize holidays important to people of different faiths. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lauren Cox, Carolina Week.
Yom Kippur is Monday. The North Carolina Hillel will be holding services. Classes will be held as normal. And for most college students, cooking means popping a frozen dinner in the microwave.
But now there's a new way to learn how to cook.
We'll tell you all about this culinary classroom when we return.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
To you, this is a place to hang a coat. To someone else, it's a place to teach a child a lesson he'll never forget. Preventing child abuse and neglect doesn't just mean reporting it. It means stopping it before it starts. Find out how at preventchildabuse.org or 1-800-CHILDREN. A child is helpless. You are not.
The lack of success on the football field could be causing problems on Franklin Street. It's the middle of football season and basketball is starting up soon. But how much gear will students be buying this year? For 3 years, sales of Carolina merchandise have soared. Last year, sales totaled $100 million. But the drop in UNC's football fortunes is financially frustrating local shop owners. In student stores, the shelves are stocked, but the shopping is slow. Johnny T-Shirt's general manager Greg Turner says all types of businesses are taking a hit from the football losses.
All the business that we see is right here on Franklin Street, which, I mean, during a football game, the restaurants rely on a good football season just as much as, any other store would.
Owners like Turner hope Roy Williams and the basketball team will make up for lost revenue during the football season.
Seniors, listen up. It's almost time to cast your vote for this year's senior class gift. The first option is the Service for America Scholarship. This lets 1 or 2 rising seniors pursue summer public service work anywhere in the country. Option 2 is the Faculty Excellence Fund. The fund would allow officials to develop new courses, support research, and recruit top faculty from across the nation. The other choice is the Social Justice Fellowship and Class of 2004 classroom, which will be located in the new Sonia Haynes Stone Center. Seniors will be able to vote online at Student Central on October 14th. For more information about the choices, visit our website at carolinaweek.org.
Things are heating up at a Southern Season's new culinary school. Culinary Lessons at a Southern Season offers participants an opportunity to learn from some of the best local and celebrity chefs. Every evening, a featured chef looks up a personal favorite while sharing tasty tips. The chef and proprietor of Elaine's restaurant on Franklin Street, Brett Jennings, enjoys teaching as he tosses. Participants sample the cuisine and get recipes along with step-by-step instructions. Following along is made easy by the overhead mirrors and television screens. House and Home Associate Tony DeMarco says the school has received positive feedback.
Oh, well, we've had an overwhelming response from the community. It's something that they've asked for a very long time.
On Thursday, you can cook all-American food with Chef David Rosengarten. On Friday, sample some of the nation's finest red wines. Saturday, learn some of the best recipes used at the Biltmore Estate. And on Sunday, learn to create the world's hottest sauce.
Well, Courtney, the sauce is the only thing right now hot because it sure is chilly out there and I had to wear a sweater to class.
Yeah, I had to grab one of mine on the way out too. Kelly Mahoney is here to tell us about the chilly fall weather. Kelly, what's going on?
Yeah, you know, this week has really shown us the first major cold snap of the season, and I will definitely let you know if those temperatures will continue in just a second. But first I want to go to this week's weather question, which is, what causes stars to twinkle? Is it currents of air, pollutants, high pressure systems, or their burning gases? I'll have the answer to that weather question and your weekend forecast when Carolina Week continues.
The danger dog will bite your ankle. The danger dog will bite your ear. The danger dog will bite your bottom if you come near. That's the danger dog.
Want to feel appreciated? When you spend time with kids, anytime, it helps prevent crime.
I give you a 20. I'm sure of it. You're stupid.
Children are influenced by what they see adults do. Remember, a child may be watching you.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. Well, the first week of October has revealed the first bit of fall foliage color. Cold temperatures are beginning to turn the green leaves golden, and the cold temperatures are making it perfect to go outside and try and get a little bit of studying done laying in the grass and basking in the sun. However, overnight lows in the 40s and daytime highs in the 70s are still pretty mild for this time of the year, and fall and October for the whole month is climatologically speaking a very nice time of the year here in Chapel Hill. If we want to take a look at averages, the average high here in Chapel Hill is 72 degrees, the average low is 48, and the average rainfall is about 3.2 inches as we start to head into some of the cooler and drier months of November and December. So October is really a transition month for here in Chapel Hill. When we take a look at the satellite map, we see that we are currently transitioning into a new weather pattern. We have a stationary front located offshore, and that is really blocking us from seeing any of the warm, moist air that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. Now, something to talk about down here in the Gulf of Mexico is an area of disturbed weather that, since it is still hurricane season, really bears watching over the next couple of days. We'll keep our eye on that, but for the most part, the story this week is the unbelievably cool and dry weather we're having. You can see an area of disturbed weather just out in the Ohio Valley and extending back into the Midwest. That'll provide us with yet another shot of some cooler and even drier air as we head into the weekend. Well, if we take a look at the forecast map for the next couple of days, you can see there's that same front extending offshore that really won't be playing an impact in our forecast. However, there are a few weak disturbances out to our west that as they usher through as we head into Friday and Saturday, won't really provide us with a chance of rain as much as it will, like I said, just some reinforcing shots of some cooler and drier air. So the pattern that we're stuck with right now is going to be around to stay. So hopefully you're really enjoying the change in, decrease in humidity and cooler temperatures. It really is nice this time of the year. If we take a look at the Carolina Week 4-day forecast, soak it up. We've got sunny skies on Friday, a very mild temperature of high temperature of just 68 degrees. Lows will be bottoming out in the 40s as we head into Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, a few more clouds start to filter through as we do get a very weak cold front pushing through the area. High temperatures will be mild on both days as well, 73 on Saturday, 68 on Sunday, and lows just around the 50-degree mark. As we head into Monday and Tuesday of next week, it should get even colder, but we'll watch that as the trend continues. Okay, now if you're heading down to the beach this weekend, Saturday looks gorgeous, 75 degrees under sunny skies. Sunday we see once again a chance of a shower as the front ushers through, but it really shouldn't be a big deal. Really, the story is at the beach. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. So if your plans are down there, you are in luck. And if you're heading out to the mountains, it's going to be just absolutely beautiful out in the mountains. Some of the colors are really going to be starting to change up toward Asheville and some of our higher elevations. On Saturday, the high is 63. On Sunday, it'll be 66. And if you're just going to stay here in Chapel Hill to watch the game is going to be played at 1:30 in the afternoon under partly cloudy skies and a perfect game time temperature of just about 70 degrees. So if we head back to the weather question, though, does anyone want to guess why the stars have been twinkling under the perfectly clear skies we've had over the last couple nights?
Well, guys, I'm going to go with C.
It's actually not C. It's actually currents of air. As they expand and contract, it gives the twinkling effect. So that's what happens, and that will really be visible as we start to head into the next couple of days. We won't have a lot of clouds blocking the view.
Well, I guess we really need to read up on our weather. Luke, I hope that you've been studying the sports. What's going on?
I've been studying sports, but with midterms coming up, I probably should be studying my schoolwork a little bit more. The first full month of classes is finished. We're into the fall, and the football team is still looking for answers. We'll have more on that when Carolina Week returns.
To a child, a little of your time can make a lifetime of difference. That's why the Greenville Family Partnership sponsored a hike, because kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
Standing right in front of them.
Whether you're a good storyteller or a good listener, you can help. To find out about community drug prevention programs, call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
There is really only one boy, one girl, one tree, one forest, one ocean, one mountain, one sky, and one simple way to care for it all. Please visit earthshare.org and learn how the world's leading environmental groups are working together under one name, Earthshare. One environment, one simple way to care for it.
Good job.
Look, it's a giraffe.
I don't see it.
The less art kids get, the more it shows. Are yours getting enough? Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
Like Will Ferrell says in the movie Old School, it feels so good to be number one. In the 21-year history of the Collegiate Baseball newspaper's annual recruiting rankings, UNC's incoming freshmen have never been at the top. Well, this year they are. You're my boy, Blue! The 10-member Tar Heel class shares top billing with the 19-member class from South Carolina. The Heels, with a record of 42-23 in 2003, are coming off their first NCAA regional victory since 1989. Carolina needed only 2 more wins for a trip to the College World Series. Carolina football is off to another rough season. How rough, you ask? Well, they don't even have enough W's to surf the internet. Ooh. Carolina Week's Alex Hurst takes a closer look at the defensive struggles on the field.
Another week of practice, another week of anticipation. UNC needs to find some momentum this weekend or risk making history. With a loss on Saturday, the Heels would fall to 0-5 for the first time in 15 years. The good news is that Carolina's schedule has been rated as the nation's toughest. The Tar Heels have faced Florida State, which has climbed to number 5 in the national polls, Syracuse, which is 3-1, Wisconsin is 4-1, and NC State, rated as high as number 14, is 3-2. That's a combined record of 15-4. Against the tough schedule, the Heels' defense is giving up an average of 522 yards and nearly 43 points a game. Head coach Bunting says he's aware of the work that needs to be done on defense.
Defensively, we got a lot of work to do, and I knew we had a lot of work to do the day I took this football team over.
So, like your golf swing, the key is fundamentals.
Stop making some of the fundamental errors, either in judgment or in technique. We got to improve upon those things, and we have to help them with the judgment, and we have to help them with the fundamentals by practicing and practicing and practicing.
Carolina offensive guard Jupiter Wilson says he has confidence in his defense and knows that the group will improve.
I respect those guys. Those guys work just as hard as we do. They go out there and practice hard like we do, so I can't complain about those guys.
So what's it going to take to pull out a W on Saturday? There's only one way we're beating Virginia. It's time to put on a jersey, get out there and support your Heels, and join the defensive line. I'm Alex Hurst, Carolina Week Sports, and I'll see you on the field.
As Coach Bunting says after every game, eventually we're going to win one. At least we hope. Speaking of winning, have you ever tried to beat a friend at Super Mario Brothers, but you have to decide if you want the mushroom, the star, the flower, or the feather? Sometimes there are just too many choices. Well, even people with real jobs know how you feel. This week, ACC athletics directors will try to sort out the scheduling of next year's football and basketball seasons. The problem? There's 2 new teams in the league. The addition of Miami and Virginia Tech makes the question of who plays downright mind-boggling. Carolina Week's Brad Lewis has the story.
Football. It's what the ACC expanded for, but expansion creates a lot of scheduling problems. Will UNC play state next year? Almost guaranteed. Will the Tar Heels play Florida State? Probably not. Expansion means a football team will be assigned 2 major conference rivals. For instance, UNC would continue to play Duke and State each year. For the other 6 conference games, Carolina will play a rotating schedule of opponents. Could be Wake Forest, could be Georgia Tech. Who knows? The Tar Heels might not play Florida State until a couple years later. Basketball will suffer the same fate. 2 designated rivals for each team, which means UNC would likely keep a home-and-home matchup with Duke. But the Clemson Tigers, who have a 52-game losing streak at the Dean Dome, could avoid playing the Tar Heels for at least the season.
Complicating the issue even further, all this scheduling could change if the ACC decides to add a 12th team in order to hold a football championship game. I'm Brad Lewis, Carolina Week Sports.
ACC officials say there are no immediate plans to add a 12th conference team. 2 days removed from a 1-0 win against Harvard, the North Carolina men's soccer team traveled to Fairfax, Virginia to take on George Mason Tuesday. Last year, Carolina defeated GMU 2-0 in Chapel Hill. This year, however, the Tar Heels held the Patriots scoreless, but were also held without a goal. The 0-0 tie was the first for the Tar Heels this season. Students and Carolina Fever members, listen up. Men's soccer is going to need all the fan support possible Sunday here at 2 p.m. at Fetzer Field. They take on the nation's #1 team, Maryland. Are you ready to put up your Dukes? Well, the women's soccer team is. They will begin conference play Wednesday night with a 7 p.m. game at Duke. The match will be worth 1 point in the Carlisle Cup standings. The Carlisle Cup goes to the all-sports champion between the 2 schools. UNC leads 1-0 after its men's soccer win last week. Well, guys, I'm really getting excited about sports. The basketball team is starting up pretty soon. Thursday, they're having their first media day where the media can actually come and talk to the players. It's going to be 2:30 at the Dean Smith Center. Roy Williams is going to be there, all the players. It's going to be awesome.
I really hope that I can check that out.
I know something else y'all need to check out, and Courtney, I know how much you love bingo.
I sure do, but I know someone who likes to play it a lot more.
We'll tell you all about these girls when Carolina Week returns.
It's springtime in the forest of the black-tailed deer. The young male is feeling playful. It's time for tag. The female flicks her ears. Her way of saying, "Catch me if you can."
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Think pulling an all-nighter is hard? Try being funny for 24 hours straight. An enthusiastic crowd gathered Friday night, ready to enjoy an improv comedy show. The show didn't end until Saturday night. Dirty South Improv hosted 24 Live, a benefit comedy show in Hamilton Hall. 8 comedians made up the core group, performing as long as possible for all 24 hours. They were supported by about 50 other performers from Chapel Hill and across the country. 24 Live raised more than $1,000 for the Women's Center in Chapel Hill.
Foursquare, postage stamp, blackout, and of course, 5 in a row. Bingo is a game most of us know pretty well.
But one local organization is playing a new kind of bingo. Carolina Week's Jenny McClendon has this story.
All types of people.
Gay, straight, black, white, young, old.
From different places.
Chicago! He's from Morrisville, North Carolina. From Wilmington, North Carolina.
Together for a game.
Let's play some bingo.
Bingo with a twist.
It's drag bingo.
An old game with a new look that draws a crowd to this Durham church about once a month.
G54.
When first-timers hear the combination, they aren't sure just what they'll see.
There's bingo and drag queens, so that's all I really expected.
Veteran players know they can also expect bright costumes, lots of laughs, and, if they're lucky,
G47.
prizes.
I'm ready after 4 trips here to win at least something.
But these bingo games aren't just about getting 5 in a row. Players are stamping for a cause.
The Alliance of AIDS Services, Carolina.
Every penny that a patron spends at Drag Bingo, 100% goes back to the agency.
That adds up to about $4,000 each bingo night.
I-20.
A gift to AIDS patients that keeps players giving.
I figure if I'm going to waste my money on anything, I might as well waste it to give it to a charity rather than like on Hostess cupcakes.
But you can get those too at the charity concession stand manned by volunteer John Adams.
Oh, we have a ball, and all of our, there's a whole group of guys here that are just wonderful, good friends.
Friends dedicated to fighting AIDS.
And I have lots of friends living with HIV, so I feel that it's only right in my duty that I walk in heels and hurt for the rest of the night, and I have bunions and corns.
I-29.
The cost of beauty at Drag Bingo might be high.
It's time consuming in terms of putting the makeup. It takes at least 30 minutes. Then putting the clothes, putting the girdle, so you have, we don't look old, we look that good.
But to these drag queens, the real prize, helping others, makes it all worth it.
Well, we have a bingo winner.
In Durham, I'm Jenny McClendon, Carolina Week.
Bingo has risen to a new level, Andrea.
Yeah, I agree. My only hope is that one day I'll be just as beautiful as they are.
And buxom. Well, Carolina Week would like to say happy birthday to one of its reporters, Lisa Doliner. Happy birthday, Lisa.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.